My turn?
Oh, yes.
James, sorry, let me do like just a tiny intro because I've been following James' career since I was like, I admired this man since I was like a child. As you know, he's a legendary. I mean, these guys are all legendary, but I had something special for James. I wanted to at least know him. So when he said yes, I was like, just like couldn't believe it. And I'm very happy that he is part of the project and he just fucking nailed it. What can I say?
These guys always make me cry.
Welcome to the stage, everyone. And yet again, I've said it to you quite a bit behind the scenes. Congratulations. So happy for you. Let's dig into it. Andy Barbara, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened when you finished It Chapter 2? What made you think not only was there more story to tell, but that additional story demanded a series?
So first, thank you for bringing us here. I want to thank everybody for being here. I know that, it was probably the love for the movies and the book or all of that brought you here. So I feel a deep closeness to you guys in general. So it all started in, as you say, around the time that we were finishing It Chapter 2. I started having these weird conversations with Bill Skarsgård because we were high on the experience of doing, It too, and we started somehow speculating and fantasizing about a new story, a new movie, which was basically the origin story of Pennywise. How did it become the clown? What role did the infamous and cryptic Bob Gray play, this story? So those were the conversations. Then we all went in separate ways. Actors that are on a roll, they go and make a bunch of movies. Bill did, and he did great. We went on our own adventure, but after a while, I picked it up again, went back into the book, and I realized that there was so much more than the origin story of Pennywise. And I sort of focused on the interludes and what is this? This has a function in the book, obviously, but it told me about a puzzle that was intentionally unfinished in the book. Stephen King creates all these enigmas and big question marks to create tension. But for me, at that point, it was like, what if this is a blueprint for a different story? The interludes, for all of you who don't know, is Mike Hanlon, the loser who stayed in town. Played by the way, by Isaiah Mustafa on It too, and Chosen Jacobs in Chapter 1, wonderfully.
Where's Isaiah?
There he is! Spotlight! So he wrote all this, the interludes are a document that is a product of his investigation, which is a very fragmented document where he compiles all the experiences of people in the past and where he tries to basically figure out what it is, but it's inconclusive. It's inconclusive. It's all informing, somehow what it is, but we are left with more questions than answer. For me, those interludes were kind of a blueprint for a different story, a hidden story, a story that is not told forward, but a story that is told backwards and has as a final conclusion the events in which it became Pennywise. Of course, there's more to it. There's a reason and there's a secret why we're telling the story backwards. I can't tell you now, but I guess you have to see the show. But it's a fascinating. What we found was we went into a deep dive into story creating, to put all these pieces together to create stories. and blend all these pieces of the puzzle together, but also we found, a fascinating story on our way there.
And he's forgetting, with this idea, we went to the great Stephen King, who loved the idea and supported us. And it was early 2020. We talked to Warner. They bought it in the room, and here we are.
To build on some of what you said a little bit, can you two walk us through a couple of untapped specifics from the novel that you wanted to incorporate here, and maybe also tell us about the 1960s being the primary setting, maybe why that setting best aligned with the themes and ideas you wanted to explore with the show?
So 1962 is according to our timeline that we did in the movies, because obviously in the book it's 58. We translated that to 89. So our first step into our journey towards this, fascinating incursion into the past is 1962.
Because it's 27 years before, and, every season is a Pennywise cycle, which is 27 years.
It's a previous cycle, which is, for us, very special also because 1962 is closer to 1958 in a way. So what we couldn't do in the movie in terms of era, because we transposed it to the 80s, we're doing now. So I feel that this, in many ways, this first season is closer in spirit and in also in textures and feel to what the book was, even though it's not the same characters. But some of them, there's ancestors and there's bloodlines and a lot of things that you will discover.
Might be a couple connections, significant connections. Jason and Brad, I'm going to come down your way to dig into your experience, basically, getting past the baton, in a sense, from the films. Can you tell us a little bit about expanding the world that Andy started to create in those first two movies? How much of what we see of Derry in those movies will we get here, and what new corners were you able to explore by having 8 episodes?
Yeah, well, I got invited into this in the most casual of ways. I had worked on It Chapter 2. I've been lucky enough to be included in that. And Andy and Barbara and I were working on something else. A couple years later, I was walking into the Warner Brothers parking lot with Andy, and almost as an afterthought, Andy said to me, "Hey, we're going to make an It prequel series. Do you want to come do that together?" And I thought, well, that's like a life-changing thing to mention on the way to your car. Yeah, I would. And so the conversation sort of sprang from there, and Andy and Barbara and myself and Brad, I think we all were curious about some of the same mysteries buried within those Mike Hanlon interludes. We all had some of the same questions that had rattled around in our heads as readers and viewers for many decades, certainly since before we were able to join the franchise. And so we had a lot of questions we wanted answers to. Why does It, a being of pure light who could journey anywhere, decide to come back to Derry time and again in its hunting grounds? So, surely there are more densely populated, more interesting places it could go. What brings it back? Why has it chosen to return to the form of Pennywise? It can take any manifestation it wants. What is it about this clown, Bob Gray, that makes it want to continue to take this form? And so that sort of process of unraveling those mysteries led to the show that we had such a wonderful time making.
Yeah, I come off a line of shows. I love doing complex, interconnected, very character-rich shows, and Andy and Barbara really wanted to do something like that, and setting it in 1962, 27 years before Andy and Barbara's movies, which was 1989, that was very interesting to me, particularly when you're dealing with a monster, a creature, an interdimensional creature who uses fear and hatred to divide, and you're talking about 1962 in America. Well, that's a very rich and specific area to mine, and that was really interesting to me. The social and the social implications of that, marrying that with the horror of It and the themes of Mr. King's book. So it was a fun, rich world to play in.
I want to throw one more question to both of you right now because, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I know you both have a significant amount of experience in film and or television, but I believe this is the first time for both of you that you're stepping into the show running role. So what does that mean to get that opportunity with this particular show? And what is it about the two of you that make you the ideal partners for it?
I mean, truly, the creative experience of a lifetime. I had never had an opportunity to work in television as a writer. I'd acted in TV a little bit. I had never had a chance to run a show. So to be able to do it with, collaborators like Andy and Barbara and Brad, it was a real extraordinary experience. And to get to play in a universe that is, it is my favorite horror novel of all time. It is my favorite horror film, I think, of all time. So this was, as a fan, the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, in an extraordinary way, Andy and Barbara were so generous with our contribution to the story, to the world that they created initially. The initial room where we broke the story was me and Andy and Barbara and Jason and this incredible writer named Cord Jefferson. And we just there were no holds barred. There were no guardrails. It was all fresh snow. There was no I made these two movies and we need to stay within these parameters. Andy and Barbara were let's go for it. It's 1962 in America. Derry is a microcosm of America. What do we want to tackle? The themes became very obvious, and the scares just from that came spilling out.
I can't wait for people to see more of this. It's like you think you got a taste via that clip. You have absolutely no idea. I'm going to turn to my cast right now here. I'll be honest, anytime I hear that something Stephen King is being adapted, I'm the easiest sell in the world. I want to jump right in. I'm sure when each of you hear that an IT TV show is coming your way, it's high appeal right out the gate. But I want to know the first thing you saw either in your character or this idea overall that made you say to yourself, my God, they're taking this above and beyond what I would expect from an IT TV series, and I have to be a part of this.
I think for me, the first thing that I saw was Andy. That made me want to do it. I mean, because it's Stephen King, but so what if the people suck to work with? You know what I mean? But having Andy and Barbara at the top, I remember the audition, and we were on Zoom, and I was like, oh my God, he seems so nice. He's so sweet, and he gave me the nickname Chuckle. He says, Chuckle. And I like a nickname. So I was like, oh, if he's gonna love me, then I'm gonna love him back. And I knew that we could create, we spoke a couple times, being able to create a family is most important to me, and that's a good leader to create a family in, and so we're all good friends because of it, and the show's good. Right. That's cool too, but that's better.
Thank you, Chris. He's the best.
We had, I have to say, when we wanted to cast him before he came on board, we put up in our, wish board, a picture of his wedding, because he looked amazing. So that's what, we kept doing. Katie, you too.
We needed the best version of Chris to put up with us. He made an effort that day, apparently.
Want to keep going down the line?
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you, Chris. It's rare that I agree with Chris on anything, but I love him. He's a good friend of mine. We've worked together before. But yeah, Andy approaching and telling me about the idea, I think it was during the Babylon premiere that Andy had come to the premiere, and he was just talking to my agent, and I've known Andy for a while too, and he was like, yeah, man, I got this part that I think you might be right for, and when I found out who it was, I was really excited to get to play it because I was such a big fan of the movies, and I remembered as soon as he said the name, I was like, why does Leroy sound so familiar? And I remembered him being the older gentleman in the first film that was talking to Mike about pulling the gauntlet gun towards the sheep. And it was just an exciting familiarity to get to play that character because that same actor, Stephen Williams, played my grandfather in my first job ever. So I was like, to get to play the younger him, I was like, this is amazing. And of course, to get to work with Andy and Barbara, who are brilliant, and to get to work with this brilliant cast and have Taylour as Hanlon partner and get to work with Chalk again, and James and Stephen and Kim, just everybody. The experience of building a family and everyone being on the same collaborative accord of doing something that we're all passionate about. There was no way I was gonna like just not do everything I could to get that part.
Beautiful answer.
Okay, so I've lost my voice. But I do, to everyone's point, it is a family. And we met on I think it was a Sunday Zoom, which is obviously a really strange day to Zoom, but we did. And it was like 2 hours. And we have this matching tattoo, Barbara and I, that says, "Fear not," basically. And it's Derry. What do you mean, fear not? It was a no-brainer. I very much wanted to work with them. And it was an incredible, incredible experience. I cannot talk.
You know how they say sometimes dreams come true? In my experience, dreams do come true. I met Andy and Barbara in 2018 through the audition process of It Chapter 2 and was in the running of it. And when we met, I just fell in love with them. They're just genuine people. Like what they say, they do. And Andy sent me a message, because of course Isaiah got the part. And he just said in the email, like, it was lovely meeting you. And at that time, it was one of the hardest decisions as a director. But he said, I hope to work with you on future projects.
And he
Now,
meant it.
you know, a lot of times people say a lot of stuff, and it never happens. And I auditioned for this, and the next time I saw Andy's face, he was like, Stefano! He was like, you know, we are going to work together. And he was like, look, I'm sorry that didn't happen, but this was for you. And so that's how I was a part of the family in 2018, and I'm just so happy to be here, and I love it. I love it. Thank you
Stefan
so
was
much.
excellent on the first round. It was a very tough decision, but he got even better than that, if that is even possible. Anyway.
Meant to be.
And all of these actors will, they will break your heart. You will fall in love with these characters, and all of these actors, the way they've inhabited them, they will absolutely break your heart. You will root for them. You will fear for them. It's just, you guys are all so wonderful. I would love to work with you all on future projects.
We're gonna hold you to that.
My turn?
Oh, yes.
James, sorry, let me do like just a tiny intro, because I've been following James' career since I was like, I admired this man since I was like a child. As you know, he's a legendary. I mean, these guys are all legendary, but I had something special for James. I wanted to at least know him. So when he said yes, I was like, just like couldn't believe it. And I'm very happy that he is part of the project, and he just fucking nailed it. What can I say?
These guys always make me cry. I'm a senior citizen, and I was in the parking lot of Pavilion's grocery store, and I was thinking to myself, well, it doesn't really matter if I don't work anymore. I had just finished a series a few months earlier called Black Lightning, and things were which I loved very much, and things were a little quiet. So I decided to take my pension and my Social Security. And I thought, well, I have enough money, I can pay the rent, blah, 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 all that stuff. It doesn't matter if I don't work again. I swear, I got into the car and I got a phone call from my agent. They said, Andy and Barbara Muschietti want to meet you for this undisclosed project, and they're only meeting one actor. And this is during the time of it's still the tail end of COVID. I went to Warner Brothers. I met their assistant, Jordan. I got her a Starbucks. She was lovely and welcoming from the moment that I met her. I walked down the hallway, and I sit in this little chair in the hallway of their office, and there's Pennywise standing on this stand. And I said, holy shit, I have arrived. This is this is like very intense, very scary. It's kind of, you know, oddly off-putting and attractive at the same time. And then I go into their room and they sit down and we had a conversation for 2 hours. And I told them about my childhood. I told them about seeing President John F. Kennedy in 1962 when I was 9 years old with my brother at the Boston College Stadium. And how that time was so intrinsically intertwined in my being and how wonderful and tragic it was at the same time. And we had this amazing conversation. I felt like I'd embarrassed myself because I really uncovered. I just told them everything. I was leaking real tears anyway. Long story short, we get up from the thing and I reached out to shake Barbara's hand and she says, "No, we're huggers."
That's right.
That's right. Put her arms around me. Andy he walked me out and we talked a little further. And I just thought, oh my God, what have I done? I've exposed myself. They're never going to give me this gig. And a couple weeks later, they said, "You've been approved by HBO." And they said, and I didn't know who General Shaw was. And then they started to unveil who this character was, who he represented, it was Strategic Air Command, the Cold War, you know, brainwashing, all these wonderful things that I grew up with. You know, I remember being a little kid and looking up in the sky and seeing Sputnik. And here they are bringing it to life again. You know, I think it takes 60 or 70 years to really fully understand a period in time. And when you look at the 1962 clips and pieces of this show, I'm drawn back in time. I feel like I'm in the Losers Club all over again. It's truly extraordinary, and I feel like it's just beginning. And every single one of these people adopted me and treated me like the OG and gave me love and respect.
You're a legend.
You hear a lot. I'm going to pass it on and say you hear a lot about how we form a family in these casts, in these productions. These guys are my family. I love them deeply. Every day that I went to work, I looked forward to it. And me and Jovan did a movie shortly after, and it was such a reunion to be on a different set, but we had the memory of this one. No, I mean, I hope you guys feel like you're part of the family too. Because everybody left it all on the floor. Everybody left it all here for you, and we hope you really enjoy it.
Yes, the warrior, our Ajax. So it's a perfect segue for me because this is storytelling with a capital S. It's the Stephen King universe. And it is a family, but it's a family that we've been left out of. The native story has been there, but we never able to join you all at the table. And it was like, we have stories too.
And boy, what a story.
And boy, what a story. And so it was such a deep blessing and an entire life's work. I've spent my entire life working to bring our stories to the world and to help give just give space for our voices. I have never been to a reservation or a Native American community that did not have a place where you do not go. You do not go because you do not know. I play a character named Rose. Rose knows. Okay? And so it's undergirding so much of the Stephen King universe is this sense of something's going on with the land. The land remembers even though we've forgotten. And there is something dwelling there that could be very harmful and we don't understand. And so it was such a gift to get to play this Indigenous character that has all this ancestral knowledge that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And so Rose knows, my community in this story knows, everything that happened before Derry was Derry. And there was a first Losers Club, and that Losers Club was a group of Indigenous kids. And my character plays a direct descendant of those kids. And so you're going to get to be a part of our family as we get to tell this story and go dive deep, deep into the origins of what terrifies us most about it.
I'm going to follow up on some character stuff in a moment, but there's one thing I had to say because it was baked into so many of your answers. I've been following the two of you and your work for so many years now, and time again, I hear about your team emphasizing what great leaders you are, and that trickle-down effect is so real and it's so important, and we need more leaders like the two of you in this industry. So I hope you hear all that and know how important it is. Another,
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
sincerely. Another cast question. Kimberly, I'm gonna force you to start because you did kind of teeter into this a little bit. I want to make sure to tease everybody's character just to like set the scene for the audience right now. You probably don't have to answer the first part of this, but I would love to know the back half. For each of you, can you explain why your character is in Derry at the beginning of the show? And then also tell us what their greatest fear is, the thing that makes them most susceptible to Pennywise's power.
Great. So my character, Rose, who remembers chapter 2 when Stephen King shows up in his cameo? It's one of my favorite moments in the It movies. And he shows up in a store called Secondhand Rose. I am Rose. And it's so perfectly placed because Rose is the keeper of memories. There's an entire backstory I created for myself. Indigenous people believe all life is sacred. So everyone that is in our circle, we see ourselves as stewards of that life. And so we're there to protect and to carry the knowledge of how we maintain our connection. So even having the things of the people in this town, this is Rose's third cycle with this creature. And so she is just the knowledge keeper watching everything come as this third cycle begins. So Rose is going to be there. You're going to see her and kind of get a sense that as long as Rose is in the room, we got a shot. We got a shot world against this thing. And not because of her. It's the earned wisdom of her ancestors. And they're just following through that duty. Her greatest fear is that it would go south on her watch. My cohort, my companion here is General Shaw, is considered the tip of the spear, you know, for this the most powerful military on the face of the earth. Well, Rose is the tip of the spear for the spiritual power of the earth, and what's kind of just maintaining kind of as much status quo as we can, as much peace as we can. So her greatest fear is that something would happen on her watch and she would not be able to protect the world from this malevolent force.
Whew. All right, back down the line.
Oh my gosh. Well, Francis Shaw, before he was General Shaw, was a little kid who was basically just with his dad in Derry and had nobody to play with. And you know, he didn't have any money, and he meets this beautiful little Indigenous girl selling lemonade, and he didn't have enough money, and he only had 3 cents. But she was kind enough to give him, you know, a lemonade in spite of her buddies taunting me, and you know, I guess there was something about her that was a beautiful Indigenous little girl, and they fell in love instantly. Now, she had a knowledge that I didn't have, and that was like, don't go in the woods. And in the woods, there's this creature, and I confronted as a 9-year-old, and it shattered me. And she saved me from it. And then we spent this summer of love together, as 9-year-olds can do. It was, you know, it was the Losers Club. It's running and jumping and playing and getting dirty and having fun and just falling in love completely, but without any of the entanglement of the post-adolescent stuff. And so then I was torn away. And I come back 50 years later, not as Francis Shaw, but as General Shaw. A guy who's essentially invulnerable. I've got this uniform with a chest full of medals and 3 stars on my shoulders, and I'm in charge of the Strategic Air Command of the northeastern United States. Nobody's gonna fuck with me. And so to make a long story short, well, you know, no fucking wimps, right? to make a long story short, I feel that my character is drawn back to Derry. It's something that is out of my control. I'm drawn back to Derry by accepting this assignment, by being involved, even though I've forgotten it, and in large part. But it's in the fabric of my being, and I go to Rose to get the inside story on what this whole thing is. That I've always had this thing that this is a weapon, because this thing is the thing that shattered my psyche the most. It was the most terrifying experience of my life, and so we go through everything to arrive at trying to harness it as a weapon. And what that speaks to in terms of my fears as this character is the sense of the loss of control. General Shaw has to become very rigid. You know, he has to be a leader, and he has to be warm, so that guys like, you know, Jovan, you know, Hanlon and Halloran can look up to him and want to follow him, much like Andy. And has to have a certain warmth, but he's also very, very rigid. And so the loss of control is the thing that is my greatest fear. And I'm fighting it the whole time. However, we do get to meet our fears, and so we'll see what happens if and when I meet that Pennywise guy. Because I wasn't afraid of him. I really liked him when I met him.
I play Hank Grogan, who runs the theater in Derry, and he's a projectionist. And, you know, in 1962, black people didn't necessarily do, you know, we live in a time now where you can actually follow your passion and, you know, what's my purpose? But he found a job, I think that was a beautiful job for him, in that he got a chance to be around the townspeople. You know, he knows, you know, it's like certain jobs, right? As a projectionist, you see everybody in the town all the time. You see them in their with their good ways, you see them with their children, you just see everything. And he, like many of us, like myself, gets to escape from the world that he lives in by watching these incredible movies. And there's something about playing an ordinary person, because I do believe that through the ordinary, we see extraordinary things. And I believe that Hank represents that. In terms of fear, I would say love, or the lack thereof. You know, I grew up in a family with my grandmom and my mom and my sister, and if those ties were ever broken, I would have been completely lost. And I do believe that he lives like that. And the extended community, which is his family in terms of the theater goers, are a part of his community. And so if he ever lost that, I think he would be, he might be lost.
Good tease.
It's beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm like adjusting a lot in my chair. This isn't the right dress for this kind of chair. Okay, I'm gonna do my best with laryngitis. I'm Charlotte Hanlon. I'm this guy's wife. I think if you were to kiki with Charlotte, she'd probably be like, I don't know why the hell I'm in Derry, but I am a dutiful wife, and this is what we're doing. I decided to marry a flyboy. We've been together since we were like 14, and that's just what you do in 1962. You smile, you cook, but you have thoughts that you suppress, you have beliefs, you have opinions. Charlotte was marching we're from Shreveport, Louisiana. Charlotte was involved and has dreams, and she's a whole person, like everyone here. And I think in 1962, I think about my grandmother, who was born in the late 30s. What dreams died with people because of the year in which they were born, or where they were born, or what skin color they were born with. And so Charlotte very much loves being a wife and mother, but also has other interests and values helping people and contributing to society. I think what scares her is she has this sense, this sacral sense, that something is just not right. And ignoring that and something turning into something insane is very frightening. It's frightening to feel like you're losing your mind. It's frightening to feel hysterical and everyone around you be like, no, we're good. Charlotte's like, are you sure we're good? I don't think we're good. And obviously, being a mother, having a son, I am now a new mother, and now my heart lives outside of my chest. So I think that is very, very terrifying. Yeah.
The character that I play is Leroy Hanlon, as Taylour described, Flyboy. He is a United States Airman, a major. He's an officer. And it was really interesting or exciting for me to get to play him for a couple of reasons. One being that my father is also retired from the Air Force. And so getting a chance to play in some form a version of who I thought my father was as a child was really exciting for me. And also just getting to play a young black man who is exceptional. I got a chance to speak with we had a military advisor who described to me that during that time, to have a young black man as a major in the Air Force with the racial tension being apparent meant that he had to be an exceptional soldier. I mean, incredibly intelligent, driven. He's able to ignore he is absolutely going to face being a black man in the military with his white colleagues. And so I wanted to be able to play a representation of that. He is given the assignment by his General Shaw that would require him and his talents to move to Derry. So he is essentially the reason that the Hanlons are in Derry in the first place. He brings his wife and their son, Will Hanlon, to Derry, and I think he's in search of a better life for them. In the military, of course, you move quite a bit, but I think he's hoping that Derry is going to be the place that he can land and really build a foundation for a better life. As far as fear goes, I think Leroy has a very unique relationship with fear that I won't spoil. But if I could say that if he's afraid of anything, I think as dutiful as he is and very headstrong and laser focused on his career, I think his biggest fear would perhaps be a scenario where he felt like he didn't take care of his family. Everything that he does with the intent of being the best dad and the best husband that he can. And if there's ever a situation where he loses control and his loved ones are in jeopardy, I think that's the most devastating thing that he could imagine happening.
Very good.
Hello.
I have to mention, sorry, Chris, it just came to my mind.
Here he goes.
You would do that every day. If I may say something, Chris. The first scene in It One after Georgie is killed is in a sheep farm where Mike Hanlon, a young Mike Hanlon, is talking to, is being actually like talked to by his granddad, Leroy. It's funny because these two characters are played 27 years before by Jovan, and 27 years after by Isaiah there. So that's the connection for those of you who don't know yet. But it's the Hanlon family. I just had to say it. I don't know why. Let's go. Come on, Chris. Action.
Finally. Hello, my name is Chris Chalk. My character is Dick Halloran, and yeah, keep going. Oh, fucking do more. Okay, we don't have all the time. Relax. No, I'm serious. Dick is in Derry because Dick fucked up. And that's the truth. And you'll see the show and you'll get that. But Dick thinks all of these people are corny. He doesn't respect a single one of them. And that's the journey of Dick. Like, the Dick you know is super nice. Good luck with this Dick. And the thing that Dick fears, I think, is himself. Because you know the history of Dick Halloran, and you're going to meet him at a stage where he has a different relationship with his internal self, with his spiritual world, and his biggest fear is himself and losing control. I mean, it's kind of like what James said. It's losing control, but from a completely different power dynamic. That's it, y'all.
There it is.
Y'all want to see
And
Chris in action?
I need to say one more thing.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
A lot of the questions yesterday while we were doing the junket is how did Dick Halloran end up in the show? And the truth is that Dick Halloran is in the It book. So this was Steve, basically.
Meant to
It's
be.
true. When people ask that question, I go, you didn't read the book. You not a big fan, are you?
Yes, but I'll tease. I wasn't quite expecting everything you do with that character in this show. And I'm so excited for you to get to see it all. But right now, you're going to get to see a clip featuring Chris as Dick Halloran. Let's roll it. I think we're running out of time here. Andy, Barbara, I got to squeeze in one more quick question before we let you all go, and maybe screen one more thing for you. So we saw a bunch of wonderful set pieces, scare scenes there, but we know you're playing the Jaws game with Pennywise. So can you tell us a little bit about coming to the conclusion that that is what the format of the show had to be, and why the wait is going to be worth it to see Pennywise in full form?
I have to, before we do that, I want to shout out to Rudy Mancuso, who's
Yes.
Polly, who's amazing. And now Pennywise. So he is our shark. And we believe wholeheartedly that we can't allow the audience to get comfortable with him. We had to hide the ball.
Yeah, so there was an intention to delay, his appearance in Pennywise form. Create this anticipation, this build-up, this suspense, and I think people will not know when. Part of his unpredictability is when is the clown going to show up. Can't tell you when, but he will. And I think it's an interesting game because, of course, as a shapeshifter, the incarnations, his presence is hinted, not hinted, he's present in other incarnations for a run, for a while, and then when you least expect it, there he is.
Based on what I've seen you play with that to great effect. We're not done with all of you yet. Don't leave. I know you're going to cheer when I say all this, but do not forget it. Welcome to Derry begins October 26th. Mark your calendars. Do not miss it. To all of you, huge, huge, huge congratulations on your show. And to send everyone on their way, we are going to play the latest trailer. Enjoy, and don't forget to check out It Welcome to Derry.